Good evening, loyal listeners, and welcome to Wilhelm Presents Frightening Tales and Other Weird Stories. I'm your host, Wilhelm. Each week I invite you to dim the lights and settle in as we explore a dark and unsettling tale of the paranormal. Stories conjured by authors from all over the world. If you dare to share a fiction of your own, submit one at frighteningtales.com. And should you find yourself still wanting, more than 130 previous episodes await you patiently in the dark. Today's tale is written by Azias Tsel, a writer from the Valencian country whose Mediterranean Gothic fiction has appeared, or is forthcoming, in Pithead Chapel, Neon and Smoke, Flash Fiction Magazine, Black Sheep from Hobbs End Press, and Minimag. He writes in Catalan, Valencian, and English. More at ausiastsel.com. It's tricky spelling, I'll leave a link in the notes. Here's a tale he calls What the Bell Requires. The bus left her at a crossroads in the middle of nowhere. Marta checked her phone. No signal. The driver had said someone would come, that the village sent a car for the Thursday bus because there was no other way in. She stood in the shade of a dying oak and waited, her bag at her feet, the heat pressing down like a hand. July in the Valencian hinterland, 40 degrees, no breeze, the hills brown and cracked. She'd forgotten how brutal the summers were here. 12 years in Valencia, with its sea breeze and air conditioning, had softened her. A white van appeared on the road, trailing dust. It stopped in front of her, and an old man leaned out the window. "Marta Stoller?" She nodded. "Get in." He didn't offer to help her with her bag, didn't offer condolences, just waited while she climbed into the passenger seat, then turned the van around and headed up the mountain road towards Balabona. "You shouldn't have come," the old man said. She was tired of hearing that.
"He was my father."
"Was? And he wanted you gone." They didn't speak again until the village appeared, a cluster of stone houses clinging to the hillside, a church tower rising above them, white against the bleached sky. Half the windows were shuttered. No movement in the streets. The van stopped in the plaza. Marta got out. The heat hit her like something personal. "The house is unlocked," the old man said. "The grave's behind the church. We buried him this morning."
This morning?
"It's July." He didn't need to explain. In this heat, the dead didn't wait for anyone. He drove off before she could answer. Eight old people stared at her from the church steps.
"You're late,"
said a woman Marta half recognized. Carme. Maybe. She'd run the bakery when Marta was a child.
"We've already said the prayers." "I came as fast as I could." "You shouldn't have come at all."
Marta walked past her into the cemetery. The grave was fresh, the earth still dark with moisture. They must have hauled from somewhere. No headstone yet, just a wooden cross with her father's name painted in black. Pere Soler, 1959. to 2025. She stood there for a long time. The sun burned the back of her neck. Sweat ran down her spine. She didn't cry. She hadn't cried at the police station in Castello either, sitting in a fluorescent room while they showed her photographs and gave her his wallet, his watch, his keys. She'd held the watch too long, the glass still warm from the evidence bag, and her hand had started shaking, so she'd put it in her pocket and hadn't touched it since. When she turned around, the old people were still watching her.
Someone needs to ring the bell.
Marta said. Silence.
It's tradition. 3 strikes. Pause. 3 more. Someone always rings it for the dead.
Your father rang the bell.
Said.
For 20 years, no one else knows how.
It's a rope. You pull it. I'll do it.
Something shifted in the old woman's face. Not fear, resignation.
Your father wouldn't want it.
My father didn't want anything to do with me.
He wanted you away from here.
Carmi stepped forward and grabbed Marta's wrist. Her fingers were like wire, stronger than they should have been.
That's different.
Marta pulled free.
If no one else will do it, I will.
She walked towards the bell tower. It stood apart from the church, older than it, built on foundations no one could date. The priest had nothing to do with it. He never had. The bell belonged to the village the way the wells did, the way the old roads did. Something that had been there before the cross arrived and would be there after. El Padre, her grandmother had called it. The bachelor, unmarried to the church, married to something else. Behind her, she heard Carmi cross herself. The stairs were worn into shallow bowls by decades of footsteps. Marta climbed slowly, one hand on the rough stone wall, grateful for the darkness after the brutal sun. The air grew cooler as she rose, then warmer again as she approached the top, where the heat collected beneath the roof like trapped breath. The bell room was small and bare. It smelled of rust and pigeons and old candle wax. Sweat, too. The accumulated presence of whoever had climbed these stairs before her. The bell hung massive and dark against the wooden louvers, the bronze stained green by years of weather. The rope descended from it, coiled once on the stone floor. Marta reached for it and stopped. The hemp was pale except for one stretch at shoulder's height, where it had darkened to the color of old tea, worn smooth, the exact width of 2 hands, pressed into the fibers year after year. Her father's hands. She hadn't known he was the bell ringer. In all her childhood memories, the bell had simply rung when someone died. 3 strikes. Pause. 3 more. And she'd never thought to ask who pulled the rope. It had seemed automatic, like the church itself was speaking. 20 years, Carmi had said. The room was sparse. The bell, the rope, A wooden chair with a broken slat, a shelf beneath the louvers holding a candle stub, a box of matches, and a notebook. Small, leather-bound, the cover water-stained and curling at the edges. Marta picked it up. The leather was soft, almost greasy, worn thin where fingers had gripped it. She opened it. Names, dates, written in her father's careful script, the letters slanting left. Teresa Vidal, 12 May 2003. Her mother's name. Marta stopped reading. Her mother had died on May 17th, 2003. 5 days after this date. She remembered because it was 3 days before her 15th birthday, and she'd spent the birthday at the funeral, and she'd stopped celebrating after that. But the notebook said May 12th. She turned the page. Ramon Estive, 23rd May 2003. The old farmer at the edge of the village, he died a few weeks after her mother. She remembered the second funeral, her father standing apart from the others, his face like stone. Pilar Valls, the 8th of November 2003. Joaquim Serra, the 2nd of February 2004. Pages of names. Some she recognized, some she didn't, each followed by a date. She flipped forward, watching the years pass. 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020. The handwriting never changed. The same careful slant, the same black ink. She stopped at a name she knew well. Angela Marti, 4th of August 2019. A baker's wife. Carmi's sister. She died of cancer in late August. Marta had seen the announcement on Facebook, but the notebook said August 4th. She flipped back to her mother's entry, May 12th. Died May 17th. Forward again, Angela Marti, 4th of August 2019. Died late August. The dates didn't match the deaths. Earlier, always earlier. She turned to the last written page. Her own name stared back at her. Marta Soler, 10th of July 2025. 3 days ago, the same day her father hanged himself. The entry was savaged, crossed out with such violence that the pen had torn through the paper, through the page beneath, through the one beneath that. A wound in the book. Below the mess of ink, in shakier writing, no. And below that, in block capitals, the letters large and uneven, don't touch the rope. She looked at the rope, at the smooth patch where her father's hands had gripped it thousands of times, at the bell hanging dark and silent above her. 20 years and the man had never set foot inside a church. The anger was simple. No grief in it. No second guessing. Just 12 years of silence catching fire. She owed him the bells. Even bad men needed the bells. Maybe not to open heaven's doors, but hell's. She'd come all this way and no one else would do it. 3 strikes. Pause. 3 more. The only thing she could still give him. There was nothing supernatural about the bell. Nothing dangerous about the rope. She grabbed it. The hemp was rough in her hands. Rough everywhere except that one smooth patch at shoulder height, worn soft by 20 years of grip. She positioned her hands there without thinking, her fingers fitting into the grooves her father had left behind. She pulled. The bell resisted at first, the weight of it enormous. Then momentum took over and it swung up and the clapper struck bronze. And the sound wasn't sound. It was too big for the room, too big for her skull. It bypassed her ears entirely and lodged behind her eyes in the soft tissue where migraines are born. And it wasn't a tone anymore. It was a shape, a word, a name. Marta, the bell said. Marta Soler. She let go. The bell swung back, struck again. Marta. And again. Marta. Then slowed, shuddering, silent. She stood frozen, her hands still raised. Her father's watch pressed against her thigh, through the fabric of her pocket, still ticking. She looked at the notebook again, her mother's name, 5 days before the funeral. The baker's wife, 3 weeks before. And her own name, 3 days ago. Don't touch the rope. But she had, and now she knew what he'd known. That her name was in the bronze, and the bronze didn't lie. She was going to die. She walked to the louvers and looked down. The old people were still there, standing in the plaza. Despite the killing heat, 8 black figures, faces upturned, watching the tower. Kami was in front. They knew. They'd always known. 8 houses, 8 old people, no children anywhere. The fights at 17, the silence, the years of nothing, all of it manufactured, all of it designed to drive her away from this village, these stairs, this rope, until the bell spoke her name anyway. She sat down on the stone floor, her back against the wall. The notebook lay open beside her, her name slashed through. No, her father's last protest against something that couldn't be protested. She picked up the pencil, worn to a stub, sharpened with a knife, and turned to the next blank page. Marta Soler, 13th July 2025. Today's date. The day she heard her own name. She didn't know how long she had. Her mother had lived 5 days, the baker's wife 3 weeks. There was no pattern. The bell announced it. It didn't schedule. She set the pencil down. Outside, the cicada screamed in the dead grass. The heat shimmered off the stones of the plaza. Somewhere below, Karma and the others were still standing in the sun, waiting to see if she would come down. She thought about what would happen when she died. Someone would have to ring the bell. Kami, maybe, or one of the old men. and when they pulled the rope, they'd hear a name, unless there was no one left to pull it. She looked at the bell. It hung above her, dark and silent, the green stains of age running down its curves like something leaking from inside. 20 years her father had carried this, and at the end, when his own daughter's name came through the bronze, he'd chosen to die rather than let it happen. It hadn't worked, but maybe there was another way. She stood up slowly. Her legs were weak, but they held. She tucked the notebook into her bag and started down the stairs. She walked past them into the blazing sun, past Carmi, past the old men, past their lined faces and the resignation that had settled into their bones like calcium. She was going to die. The bell had said so, and the bell didn't lie. The only question was whether she'd die alone, or whether she'd bring it down with her. She had days, maybe weeks, enough time to find kerosene, enough time to learn how old stones burn. The bell hung silent above the village. If it could afford to wait, so could she.
Thank you, dear listeners, for venturing into the dark with me tonight. Return next week for another dark tale, lurking just beyond the veil. If you enjoyed your journey with me, support my work. Like, subscribe, rate, or leave a comment wherever possible. Most of all, share frightening tales and support the authors who dared to dream these machinations. Buy their books, read their writing, watch their videos, whatever you can. Until next time, when a new tale creeps across the airwaves, listen closely. If you're brave enough.